We have now on the next to showcase his video is Dr. Pankaj Sharma, who's a senior consultant, anterior segment from Jaipur. And let's look at his interesting pearl. On to you, Dr. Pankaj.
Thank you so much. And I'm I apologize for this delay. There's a power outage here, so I've roamed around all through the house where I could get a good mobile signal. So I'd like to show this video.
Would you want the video to be shown from our end, or anyway, see if you can show, we'll watch.
It's there on the phone. I'll just.
Dr. Anand, can you connect?
There on the iCloud Drive. Yeah, it's. Wait.
Yes,
started, ma'am.
Yeah, we started now. Now you could present with the video running from our end, Dr. Pankaj.
Okay, I'll stop my share.
Yeah.
And I think.
Just give me a minute, ma'am. It will take me a minute.
Okay, fine.
Sir, just give me a minute.
Yeah, sure. So it's a peculiar case. It was a very simple in and out case. PSCC. He was a auto driver, and he had problem in driving at night, even at day. It was a posterior subcapsular cataract. So,
I'm starting the video, Dr. Pankaj.
Yes, sure. So, on the first post-op day, uneventful operation was done, but I think one thing was missed. Can you please pause it? I'll just give a short brief what happened in that case.
Yes.
First post-op day, I did a refraction. It was minus 5.5. And to my surprise, instead of a plus 21 diopter lens, there was some clerical error because I work in a government setup. By mistake, a 27 diopter Tecnis IOL was put in the bag. A perfect surgery was done. Post-operatively, the patient was minus 5.5, and he thought that some mistake has been done from my side. So he went around for 4 weeks. He consulted many surgeons. But after 6 weeks, he came back to me and he said that, okay, doc, please remove the lens and put the proper IOL power. Now, the hydrophobic lens in the bag, it was totally, I was expecting that it would be stuck. So I offered him to put a Sulcoflex, but he said that I don't have the resources to pay for another expensive lens. So anyway, I went ahead with the IOL exchange. Now you can start it. So as you can see, after 6 weeks, the wound has completely healed. So through the same wound, I made the entry. And I had thought, because this is the first time I was exchanging an IOL which was in the bag for 6 weeks, I thought I may be able to, dial it and bring it into the anterior chamber. But to my surprise, it was completely and totally stuck. I tried to rotate it from one side, from the other side. The haptics were totally stuck. And so it goes in it's a good case for toric IOLs. Like hydrophobic, we all know that hydrophobic IOL is good for toric IOLs because they don't rotate. But they don't come out of the bag either if you want to remove them. So now, even the optic haptic junction was well behind the CCC. So now I was in a fix how to remove this IOL. So first, I thought what I did was to capture the IOL optic into the anterior capsule. And I made some extra ports to do the same. Now you can see the IOL optic has been captured in the NTA. So with this thing, I could now expose the optic haptic junction. Now superiorly, I could exteriorize it slightly by pulling it and cut the optic haptic junction so that the superior part is free. Now the challenge came for the other side. So I made another 12 o'clock stab incision to mobilize the IOL superiorly so that one flange of the scissor could enter from the other side. And this side port was enlarged at 6 o'clock and another port was made at 12 so that the IOL could be slightly, pulled up. One flange of the scissor was then taken behind, and then from the main incision, the other optic haptic junction was exposed. Now, all through, I kept on inflating the bag and the anterior chamber with Healon, because otherwise you could have injured the anterior capsular margin or the posterior capsule. Now, once both the haptics were fractured, it became simple to just cut the IOL optic in half. Now, as you can see, when we try to cut the optic, the IOL always slips. So I always give a counter pressure from the other side so that we can, cut the optic right into two halves. And now we have to take care that the edges of these of the cut haptic of the optic do not injure the root of the iris or the iris itself. Now, as you can see, the CCC is intact completely. The posterior capsule is intact, and now to implant a posterior chamber IOL was simple. And since the bag was open, it could be implanted into the bag. Post-operatively, the patient was fine. He had good vision. OCT was normal, and in fact, we did a specular also. There was just 8% specular loss. Applanation tension was normal. So, thinking out of the box, using OVD, and also considering all these factors, we can go ahead and exchange an IOL, which a hydrophobic IOL in the bag. We don't need to go for a sulfurflex or put another lens in the eye. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pankaj. That was a wonderful video. Rather, the first 3 videos this far have been a great teaching, a learning experience. Dr. Ramurthy, could you stop sharing? Dr. Ramurthy, I would want you to very briefly tell us, when would you do an IOL exchange? When would you think of doing a piggy bag IOL? And when would you think of doing a bioptics? Very briefly.
Laser vision correction, if it's a small error, and if it's a multifocal or a toric, and rotation of the lens will not help, then go ahead and do a laser vision correction. But if it's a large error like this, then obviously a lens exchange, but I would have done it immediately. But as Pankaj said, the patient was refused to undergo that. But if the patient has come to me after a long time with a nicely held lens like this, nicely fibrous capsule, then obviously a piggyback lens, especially if it's a hyperopic error, would be a lens of choice. A piggyback lens would be a way to go.
Dr. Gaurav, had this patient been your patient and had come to you earlier, would you differentiate in doing removing a hydrophobic IOL earlier than a hydrophilic? And the reason being the adhesive property of a hydrophobic being more. Or would you have thought of something different from what Dr. Pankaj beautifully explained to add on to this?
I think he managed it really well. The only thing is that hydrophilic lenses, even if you want to remove them after a year or two, it doesn't matter because they'll usually come out very easily, unless very rarely, sometimes the haptic is kind of fibrous through, but mostly hydrophilic lenses are very easy to remove as compared to hydrophobic, where there will be strong adhesions. However, I have realized that I've had the chance to kind of reposition some toric lenses, which are almost 3 months post-op. It is very challenging, but if you work hard enough in trying to free the capsular adhesions, many times it is possible to go under the iris using a Y-tip spatula, trying to identify and under visualization with viscoelastic and viscodissection. Sometimes you can separate, the planes and mobilize the haptics as well. And most often it is not really necessary to cut the haptic optic, but as sir showed, it was very tough there. So had it been a hydrophobic lens like this, and I was expecting it to have situations where it would be almost impossible to mobilize it, I would have kept a piggyback lens ready as a standby. And maybe, if I have found manipulating this lens or extracting it difficult and requiring so many manipulations, I would have probably just gone with a piggyback. Moreover, I think while sir showed it so beautifully, nowadays they are very good forceps, lens holding forceps, which you can hold the optic with, and they can go in from a 20 gauge side port. So cutting the lens becomes much easier. So both the scissors and the forceps can be used to cut. And I do understand that in the government setup, sometimes there will be limitations on what instrumentation you will get. So I understand, in fact, it's kind of good to be able to handle whatever is given to you. So you did a great job, but this is how I would have done this.
Yes, I think it covers it all. Your surgery.
Chitra, can I add one thing, please?
Yes, Dr. Dami. Yes.
Yeah, excellent surgery, Dr. Pankaj. But I will like to add one point that while you're cutting, once you brought the IL into the anterior chamber, I will add the new lens to be inserted before removing the lens. The new lens will act as a scaffold, and you will be able to safeguard the posterior capsule much easily.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yes. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Actually,
Dr. Partha.
when you are trying to rotate the lens within the capsular bag to release the adhesions, it's always better to use bimanual technique, because if you just try to move one haptic, it may not be very successful. If you just move both the haptics together, rotation, many times the haptics will release from the actually the haptics, they don't adhere. It's basically the grooves where the tissue will grow, and that is the point from where you have to just slip it out. The slipping will only happen if you move it with the bimanual technique. So that will not put any stress on the capsule as well as on the posterior capsule and the anterior capsule also. So
actually, I was too much scared with this, because had I ruptured the zonules, then I would have been left with no option than to put a scleral fixation IOL. So I was too much scared. So I just thought of how to remove the IOL optic only and leave the haptics inside.
So quickly, I just have one short point to say. Very recently, I had to manipulate toric IOL, which had shifted, and the toric IOL was nearly 5 diopters. So it was about 3 months old, and so what we find, and these are cases that we do not do very regularly, and all of us do it once in a while only, it is the point where the haptic ends that the adhesion is strongest. And the anterior capsule and the posterior capsule are adhered at that point, making it nearly very difficult to get it out unless there is full separation of the anterior capsule to the posterior capsule, and that adhesion is not so strong that it will not separate. Most of the time it will separate well, but the spatula has to go right in front and right below so that that separation is as complete. And then only, one is ensured that there'll be no tear or there'll be no tug on the zonules at that point. So that's a very important point which I have found out over the years. And if that can be adhered to, it's not possible every time that will happen. So if it doesn't happen, Dr. Pankaj's technique is excellent, but most of the time it does happen. And then you can actually rotate or remove the whole IOL inside the anterior chamber and do the cut. And of course, the forceps, as Gaurav was also saying, I mean, whatever you have to do, but there are very nice forceps which will not let the viscoelastic seep out while you're manipulating in the anterior chamber, which has the forceps is planar forceps, which just goes in, and without much loss, you can cut the IOL.
Yes. All very valid.
I just want to add, Dr. Chitra, the point is at times appearances are deceptive. And what Gaurav said and what Partha said, it just needs a little, and RP also said, it needs a little bit of patience and you will be able to separate it out. Just 2.5 or 3 weeks ago, I have been able to successfully take out an intraocular lens after 24 years of having implanted a 3-piece intraocular lens, and there was really not much of a problem because it's a
Material of the lens?
No, I'll just tell you, it's a Ajibo Garib story in the sense that that child I had operated as a child when the child was only 1 year old. And after that, I had done a secondary IOL. And after doing a secondary IOL, the child kept on having a myopia. And the myopia kept on increasing. And for that, I did an ICL. And the patient was doing well. But unfortunately, the patient got hit. And both the ICL and the IOL got slightly, they got displaced into the anterior chamber, and she developed an infection in the cornea also. So I took out the ICL, I took out the IOL, and I've left the patient a phakic now. But I was pleasantly surprised because I thought there's no way I'll have to. It was a 3-piece lens, and I think it was a silicone lens at that because it was done about 22 years ago. So at times the appearances are very deceptive. I was very, very surprised because had I known that the IOL would come out that easily, I would have done an IOL exchange in the first place rather than putting an ICL. Because the look was so much fibrotic. But if you are gentle and you are able to rotate it and put viscoelastic, separate the plane, that 4 weeks or 6 weeks, I rarely, because Pankaj, I am surprised you are such a high volume cataract surgeon that you are removing the IOL only for the first time. But,
no, sir, after 6, hydrophobic IOL after 6 weeks.
yeah, but you said this was the first time you were doing. I think we taught you better than we said to do IOL. So in any case, I think it won't have been difficult, but what the technique that you did was great. But overall, all that I'm saying, be a little patient, and often what you feel will be difficult to separate is not that difficult to separate.
Yes.
I have to time, paucity of time. I'm going on to the next.